not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge.
What up, Pink ladies, T-Birds, just happen to be watchers of my shit. My name is Jimmy Pynk, and I didn't mean to do a double review, but I'm actually very happy it happened this way.
Right about now.
Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Purge includes. Blessed be our dear founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
So, hey guys, Jimmy Pynk here, back in the environment. For those of you guys that don't know, I did all this Comic-Con stuff, but also I broke out into hives and had some kind of allergic reaction before all of that. Those came back today, so I've been working, trying to get all that shit straightened out. Eat, cook, rewash clothes, and better detergent. Completely changed my life, but what have you. I'm going to talk about Zaddy Was a Rolling Stone, which is Claws, Season 3, Episode 5, and Pose, Never Knew Love Like This Before, which is Season 2, Episode 4. I'm kind of glad that there's a lot of parallels going on. As you'll see in the thumbnail, life and death. But there are just some things. For example, first thing I want to say about it is as far as Claws goes, and for those of y'all that don't watch both, just catch on, because I'm kind of going both at the same time here. A lot of times, because there were a lot of parallels. So, whereas Claws, usually, I hate the fantasy sequence, but in my reviews, for those of y'all that watch my Claws reviews, y'all know all damn season I've been talking about how I love how the fantasy sequences actually made sense and played in until this episode. This 90s music video, Oh No She Better Don't, by the pantyhose and shit, with Niecy Nash and Roller. That's going to be a no for me, dog. That's going to be a no for me, dog. I'm like, I get it. It was supposed to be cute. First of all, we went back to that forced fantasy sequence. It didn't make sense. It didn't roll safely into it. It didn't really make a lot of sense. It was just a fantasy sequence to have a fantasy sequence. As much as I love you, Roller, and you sexy as hell to me, and as much as I love you, Niecy Nash, and been following you ever since Reno 911, all the way through Moving On, Passing On, all the way through Soul Man, all the way through Scream Queens and all this. This could be the work of a new director. Because Niecy Nash did direct the episode and it was serviceable. But it was by far not the best. I'm just going to have to keep it a buck with you. With that being said, Pose, where we really never get fantasy sequences, basically half of the episode was a fantasy sequence because it was people. And spoiler alert if you haven't watched Pose yet, but like this last one y'all gonna get, because I'm reviewing them because they have a lot of parallels. A lot of it was fantasy sequence because it was people grieving Candy and Candy speaking to them, and then at the end, her ascension was her actually being a star of the ballroom scene, which she always wanted to do with the new category of lip syncing. So, like, you want to talk about fantasy sequences that Claws have all the time and Pose like never really has? This was done so well. This episode of Pose did have me in tears. I'm not gonna lie, because I felt the kind of way that Candy is dead. But damn, they sent her off right. With that being said, let's talk about life for a minute and go on back over to Claws. And this may be why they let Niecy Nash direct this episode, because there were some moments in there that were great, but it was kind of not. I'm just going to keep it a buck. So, the reason why I'm calling it Life and Death is because we found out Quiet Ann is pregnant, which, shout out to Talisa Ray, because I think she did say that, like she probably going to be pregnant by that dude. You was right, girl. You was right, girl. And, you know, we now have to deal with Quiet Ann now having this black baby, which, speaking of life, is another thing. Let's talk about Jen Husser. Let's talk about Jen Husser. And again, related to Pose. And for those of y'all who don't know, like Pose and did like tweet Claus did tweet Pose one time. But the little white girl with the tan on, she love all this smoke. We gonna be trapping in these streets, boo. You know how we do. Da 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 da. And Jen just snatched that bitch up. This is why Jen is my favorite character. Jen is my favorite character. Jen is my favorite character. And you know what? I think Candy might have been my favorite character on Pose. Just because they both have that switch of like, okay, now you done just did a little bit too much. Like, I loved when Jen was like, wait a minute, am I part of the problem? Because I did brush my baby hairs down. Should I call them my edges or this and this and this and this? Like, maybe I'm part of the problem. So she was like checking this bitch like, okay, being black is not a costume. It's not cute. Whereas we also go to Pose where that is also relating, where we see Candy's parents come to the funeral and saying like they didn't understand, we just thought you was creative and at worst gay. And Candy is like, this is who I am. I am a woman. So being a woman is also not a costume unless you're a drag queen. But I understand my parallels here. Work with me. Love that scene with Jen. Absolutely loved it. Y'all gonna be mad at me for this. I am not happy that Roller and Desmond is together. Them as a couple and them like being all lovey-dovey, kissy, shacking up, life goes on, let's live together. I'm not feeling that. And I know I was the main component for rooting for them to be together. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too much. I'm like, I needed that little breeze of sexiness. Not the Roller is all domesticated and he's like, I wanted Roller to be a good man. But just in character, you being a little bit too good. You all domesticated and doing laundry and shit. That's a little much. Like, the sexiness is starting to fucking rub off. And I don't like that. But, you know, at least that's a plot line that we can roll with. And I know that that's not going to be possible. They can't be a couple the whole time. It's too fucking convenient. Also remembering that, you know, Virginia and your brother is together, but y'all coochie cousins. Love that. Y'all coochie cousins. And it's fucking weird. Let's talk about Polly. Polly running around trying to extort people because she all feeling Joe till she found out Joe ass was murdered. See, with Joe comes a whole lot of death. And then the thing is, it's like, yeah, y'all are a crew. But Quiet Ann is the one who holds that shit down. Like, she's the muscle. She not gonna be that same kind of muscle with no baby in her. She's just not. We know that she wanted a baby, but she wanted a baby with Arlene. I think her Arlene might be back at a good point. She did tell Arlene she slept with the man. So we're gonna hear more from Quiet Ann. Haha, pun intended. We're gonna hear a little bit more about Quiet Ann. Motherhood. Speaking of motherhood, motherhood changes things. You see, Jen don't really be in the shit like that, but she do. The same reason why she was like, am I part of the problem? Like, snatch that bitch up like it's not a costume because she has that black daughter. Let's go to motherhood over here and the scene of Lulu not being able to find Candy, goes to Blanca and Angel to go find them. Blanca gets the number, they find out she's dead, they call Electra, because we forget a lot of the time. Lulu, Candy, Angel, and Blanca are sisters, and they are Electra's daughters. So, you know, that whole thing had to get good. And like, let's talk about motherhood for a minute. Because Electra, like, respected Blanca enough as a mother to say, we're going to handle this. It's kind of probably like her favorite child, even though she shit on her all the time. And they got that body, so they can go ahead and do what they need to do and bury Candy right. I love how they reached back to when they were at the funeral. I believe it was episode 1 or 2, when they were at the funeral and Candy and Lulu was kikiing, talking about some, I want my flowers before I die, I want all this stuff. So everybody having these moments with Candy. And how they had like fixed her makeup. I was kind of confused about the hair, but you know, they had did that, and the guy like did her funeral and stuff for free. Like, it was just, a great episode. It was Candy's episode. Lulu just speaking of Jen snatching people. Lulu just snatching like, and you a thief. It was like taking the brooch and the gloves, and I had her conversation was like, it wasn't all bad. Like it was just Pose really hit me. They really stood up for Candy, and you know we knew something was wrong at the very beginning. They still gave us our ballroom, cause honey, them looks from heaven was everything. They still gave us our ballroom, just like Claw still gave us our looks. Speaking of the fashion, look, I said I'm swapping back and forth because a lot of parallels this week. Speaking of the fashions, y'all done had this is what made me mad. Like this episode of Claws was not my favorite, and this episode of Pose might be close to my favorite. So I had a great episode from one and a so-so episode from the other, and then like they have parallels. So the fashion, like I will be perfectly honest with you, and for those of y'all, my Pink Ladies and T-Birds that rock with me all the time, I think y'all know that I like Claws better than I like Pose. Love Pose, but really love Claws. And I mean, for good reason. You are, even though they're both great shows, you're gonna like a little bit more what you're actually related to, and as much of an ally and an advocate and all that, and non-conformative and all that I am, I'm a woman and a black woman and seen as a black woman and in my 40s and all that. So that I just relate to that a little bit more, even though Pose is a very well done show. The fashions. Pose, y'all did that shit. Y'all costume designer, round of damn applause. Y'all did that. Claws this week, they still did their thing. I just had a problem with one thing, and that was when, oh, let's talk about fathers too. As Praise Hill said, out of all your children, Dean and Desmond met their dad, who was like this fancy architect, and invited them to go where he was going to dedicate this service. Let me talk about Mac and Melba's crazy ass in a minute. They were going to dedicate this building that Dean just loved, and she had on fucking, what's the shit called? A Fashion Nova fucking dress. I'm like, wait, when she was in the casino, she had all them nice ass boss outfits. The end of last season, she had on that badass white pantsuit. You mean to tell me she was gonna wear the knockoff Versace chain print with some big ass earrings? Now I understand we're supposed to be like, that's just her, but let's keep it a buck. When she was in them casinos and she had like them dresses and stuff, she knew how to dress appropriately. She knows how to dress appropriately. Dean, y'all let him pick his own clothes out, and that's fine. But he was looking like somebody's little kid. Roller hat on. Pimp Daddy, go Pimp Daddy. Pimp Daddy suit with like the same like Versace shirt, and I'm like, dude, you just had on a Gucci suit last episode where you was suited and booted. It's like y'all like, this is what I'm gonna say, and I know we are here for Claws for the fashion, and I don't know how much of that is Niecy Nash's direction. But I'm very proud of her for getting her first. Getting the DGA, girl. You can't do nothing but get better. But this wasn't it. It wasn't a bad episode, but it wasn't it. Like it wasn't hitting for nothing. Like it wasn't. I didn't like the rap video, which I understand. It's Roller, so you know he's not one of the main five. But I'm like, we seen him in the white jeans. Good Lord, we seen him in the white jeans suit with no shirt. Good Lord, yes we did. We've already seen that before when he came back from the dead. So you know he had that on again. Like the Claws episode, like it's stuff that stuck with me. Like Mac and Melba ass trying to set up the dad and like trying to bribe the dad to not be with Dean. And I'm like, okay, what story do we have that something happened to one of their kids? Something happened to their kids? Because y'all already got Joe that y'all claim y'all found. But now y'all all like, oh, Mac just want Dean so much because of the Mahjong tournament, but he just wants him. He likes him. I can do this. Like he wants him to be his son to the point where you pay off his real dad. Fuck is going on? Is going on? And Virginia ass crying, blowing a bubble. Virginia ass, I gotta get back to the Mahjong tournament. This and this and this and this and this. And she even said like, oh, so you don't even want sex no more. You just all in the Mahjong. That shit, I don't like where that shit is about to go. Uncle Virginia taking fucking Bryce's job. Like, I love Bryce so much. I need y'all to have something for Bryce to do, and it ain't gonna be counseling. And what about Jen's stinking ass mama also talking about mothers? Jen's stinking ass mama now trying to get up with Uncle Daddy, and Toby is not fucking feeling it. I'm like, alright, Toby out here motherfucking murking motherfuckers. He might be done fucked around and killed. Something is gonna happen. I don't see, let's talk about the parallels again. For real parallels, the transgender person on Claws, because for all intents and purposes, Toby is transgender. He ain't gonna make it out. He's not gonna make it. Now I wish I remember the video essay that I watched where they were talking about Council of Geeks. Bury your gays, bury your queers. There's ways to do it. Pose, this was definitely a direct link to transgenders have been dying. Like, this shit just happened like this year, like it was a big story about it. I apologize, it's not on top of my head, I didn't do my research. That was like a direct for that. Also, that was that Angel storyline where Angel was like so upset about Candy because Angel, that could have been Angel. And remember, we thought based on season 1 that was going to be Angel. So they kind of just bamboozled into thinking like everybody was going to die of AIDS, and we got a real big wake up call like, this happens. She basically got killed for being transgender, and nobody's going to care. Now, to be fair, in that day and age, that could have been a regular hooker too. She could have just got killed because she was a fucking hooker. But more of a risk is transgender. I get that. But let me let you know, Toby is not going to make it through this season. As far as Claws. The only transgender person that we have on Claws. Because Claws does envelop a lot of the LGBTQ plus umbrella. We do have Quiet Ann, who identifies as a lesbian. I don't believe that she's transgender. She identifies as a lesbian because it's a female story. We have Toby, who is transsexual. We have Uncle Daddy, who is bisexual. So, and he's a boss. Well, he was until Desmond handled that shit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very, so I don't want anybody to think like people are dying on these shows just because it's the bury your gays trope. It's not. Toby tried to take out Virginia and Desmond. He gotta go. And now you creeping up on Uncle Daddy when Jen don't even really want, they made up. But you don't really want your mother because that shit's gonna come out because that was always her thing. Like, ooh, you got you a hustler. Because remember, they like the Dixie Mafia. They worth something. Ooh, yeah, you got all that and this and this and this and this. So that shit's not gonna go well. So there's another parallel because, you know, we do have a transgender character who is getting bumped out and is not gonna make it through the season. But those are just some of the parallels I got. I gotta tell y'all, I'm actually really hungry. I'm heating up my food. I'm gonna have some nachos because they got me on a steroid. That shit be having me beasting for food. I finally stopped eating so much because of the thyroid, and then they had to put me on the steroid for the hives. And oh, child, it's been a journey. But thank you for rocking with me. Next week the reviews will be right. They'll be right and tight. They'll be all put together, but as for right now, like, this is what I had to do because Youngstown Comic-Con pushed me back, then the hives coming back pushed me back, all the washing the clothes. But I dug it. If you got any questions, comments, anything I missed, comment down below. Let me know. Let me know what you think about both episodes. What do you think about the parallels? What do you think about this show is all about bringing life and moving on, and this show is all about death and moving on? Like, there were great parallels this week. Tell me how you think the Claws episode was. Was it meant to you too, or was it just me? Was Pose everything this week? Do you think Candy got the proper send-off? I never knew love like this before. And now they have a lip sync category, and this is bringing in the drag now into the ballroom. I forgot to mention that too. But come on. Comment down below. Let me know. We'll go ahead and have a kiki. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the patrons, the PayPal. Thank you to people who build anything with my PayPal. Because I needed y'all help because I kind of spent a lot of money at Youngstown Comic-Con. So y'all really do. Y'all really do help me. And like I keep continuously saying, let me get back on my feet and get back to work. That'll be next week. So I can get real paychecks. And then I can get all my thank yous and everything sent out. In the meantime, my bitch ass is broke after Youngstown Comic-Con. And going to the grocery store and having to go get all new soaps and lotions for this shit. So the PayPal is up there too. Holler at your girl every little bit. Help. Patreon is up there too. Instagram, Twitter. Follow me on all that shit. You want to see that shit because that's all the Youngstown Comic-Con pictures are there. And I know y'all want to see that shit too. So thank you so much for watching and keep it crazy. Deuces. Hey yo, I dog these niggas like girl's best friend, right? Ran 10-10, right? Haunted by my past, same shit, different mask like Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? But I spotted you out like Spud McKenzie. Figured out the game like the Bloodhound game. I thought you was my friend, you broke my heart again. Well, the game done switched. If you a dog, I'm a bitch.